Hi, Paul Hefty here with the Triangle O football system. We want to go over our phase 2 of our offensive install. This is inside gap RPOs. This is a 3-step process here because we've got power that we'll cover in this video, and then the second video will go into inside gap counters, and then the third one will be power play action pass, specifically looking at 4 verts concepts. All right, looking at our install here for power and backdoor power, we like to use a 3x3 process where we're going to install it in 3 steps, but 3 phases of practice. You can see here we're focusing on power, where we run towards the HVAC. A backdoor power then is when we run power away from the HVAC. Again, we like to do the RPOs first, phase 1. Then second, we can work on some of the pass concepts that have overlapping of routes and pass pros. And then third, we would do both of those, the RPOs and the passing game, together against specific game situations. With our steps with inside gap RPO, it's going to be the same all the time. The back, you can see, is going to go ahead and take 3 steps to the quarterback. The first 2, he's actually going to turn and point his toes towards the sideline. And then the third step needs to have that toe right down the midline of the quarterback, and with the toes pointed now towards the line of scrimmage, so we're squared up. With our inside gap RPOs, you can see in the upper right here, the read key is our Sam backer. Again, if he fills, we drill it. If he sits, back gets. So it's a simple process, simple way to read and keep it consistent. The quarterback does what we call a rocker step, where he's going to step with the foot opposite of where the back is. So in this diagram, the back set to the left. Quarterback will step with his right foot forward, keeping his shoulders square. We don't turn. He's going to ride and decide there. And then after he hands the ball off or keeps it, then he just simply rocks back onto that right foot, pivoting with his left foot to be in a throwing position. So here's power out of a 2x2 set. You can see power is a post-snap RPO read, where we're focusing again on the Sam backer. Again, the H backer is going to go ahead and dig out that defensive end, try to get his head inside, and then we're going to go ahead and double back to the will with the play side tackle and guard here. Key point, since the backside guard, left guard, is pulling, the center's always got to block back if there's any defenders on or over the left guard. Real simple. The read here then is the Sam. We're going with a 2x2 to the single receiver side, where we've got the glance route. Again, the Sam fills, then we're going to drill with that skinny slant, or the glance. If he sits, then the back will get it, following the guard's block up on the Mike backer. So here's a video of this. You're going to be able to see its power to the left, and they're going to go ahead and throw backside to the A slot receiver running a bender read. Again, box is open in the middle, so he breaks inside, right on rhythm. Easy 10, 12-yard completion. Here's power now out of a 3x1 set. The nice thing about this is the receiver's routes don't change versus 2x2 or 3x1. They're locked into routes. It helps simplify processing of plays for our receivers. The quarterback, again, will read the Sam backer, but now he's got the slot formation with 2 receivers. So he's got an inside out or a high-low read if the Sam does fill on this. Again, the A receiver is going to run his 4 verts bender read route, meaning if the safety's in the middle, as the diagram shows here, then he's going to go where he's not and just stay right up the hash. If the safety would be over the hashes and the box is open, the middle box, then he would bend inside. The Z does what we call a looky route, which is a 4 steps and then a flat slant now, replacing underneath the A receiver's bender read route. Key point here, the quarterback, if he sees the Sam fill, he can't just lock on the A receiver. If that A receiver is not wide open, then he just settles in and hits the Z coming underneath. Again, by pre-snap, if he feels the X to the left side, to the back side, where he has complete access, like the video showed earlier, he can still read the Sam, but the Sam fills, he can go back and hit the glance solo there. We like to use what, again, is an alert call here when we feel like we've got 4 defenders or 8 defenders in the box, and that just tells the quarterback to think pass first, a PRO, versus run first. For us here for blocking, power is an A-gap running play. We got this from North Dakota State, who's won several national championships doing this. You can see in the diagram in the upper left versus the 4-3 base, we're going to have that left guard and tackle drive that defensive tackle down the line of scrimmage, and then they'll combo back to the will backer. The key here is we're looking for horizontal push versus vertical push upfield. The backside guard, being the right guard here in the diagram on the upper left, is going to do a square, give ground to gain ground, skip, and then pull up to the Mike backer, what we call a bomb block on the Mike backer. The H will dig out that defensive end, and the back then wants to stay on that back hip of the pulling guard, reading inside to backside cut. Again, making this an A-gap running play. When we run it versus an odd defense in the upper right-hand quarter, we can use what we call a hit technique by our H-back. Since the Sam backer is the read key, the H can go what we call hit is H inside on the tackle. So we actually help get a double team there. And now the guard is going to double back and be the driver on the nose guard with the center. Again, back's going to get on the hip of that left guard doing square, skip, and pull, looking to go straight up field A-gap to a cutback. One exception with A-gap powers is when you get what we call TNT fronts in the bottom dark gray diagrams. You can see when we've got the guards and the center all covered, which we call TNT type front, we essentially have 5 defensive linemen. So now we are going to block that Sam key. You can see in the lower left-hand corner. The center simply makes a TNT call right away, TNT, TNT, to the quarterback. That alerts him now the Sam is being blocked, and so the read key becomes the will backer because he is unaccounted for in the blocking and becomes the conflict defender. If you do it to the right, you can see again, we're all going to, again, all 5 linemen are blocking big on big, and that, again, requires us to read the will backer, a TNT call. The reason we do this is, again, defensive fronts for us all evolved from a 43 base defense. That's how we keep it simple. So you're going to want to install versus a 4-3 base defense, that upper left, and then start to get into the variations of it, finishing up with that TNT check call, where the read key now becomes the will backer. When we run backdoor power, again, this is when we're running power away from the H. So anytime we just call power, you know we're running it towards an H-back. What we do here, and we learn this with working with 9th graders, is we add a prefix of Bill, which tells a lot of different people some simple adjustments. Since we don't have the H-back to block that defensive end, Bill tells that tackle he is big on big, or base blocking the defensive end. So the left tackle there is going to go ahead and base block that defensive end. Bill also tells now that we're going back door, and then last it tells the quarterback, Bill tells him we're going to read the will backer as our read key. Again, up front we still have the right guard skip, square skip pulling. You can see the H now does a me pull where he's going to try to get to that will backer, But again, if he feels fast, we know we can't get him, but that's our read key for the quarterback. He would then throw the glance route to the X receiver. Again, the quarterback can do a pre-snap look if he has access, meaning he has one defender, as the diagram shows here, against the two receivers, the Z and A, towards the call. He's still going to read the will backer, but he can come back and throw to the two receiver side. Again, this would be a Bill Phoenix, and the change in the signal is we use directional arm and fist, or arm flexed, but now we add a hook at horns versus a fist. That's a Bill signal. One of the things we really like about backdoor power going away from the H is now we have the ability to add the H back into the RPO route. We call this a peak backdoor. What we do here to keep things simple is we still just say Bill Phoenix for a verbal to the O line, but we simply add a hand signal of an open hand over the face, and that tells the H now he's going to run a hot peak route, which is basically a bender read for him, replacing that will if he fills. Quarterback now, nothing changes, is still going to read the will backer, but now we've just got two receivers to both sides with this. This really causes problems with modern day defenses, the way they like to defend RPOs. And it also breaks the tendency of running towards everything, towards the H-back, meaning the H-back kind of leads you to the point of attack.